Well, here I am. I'm live. It is Wednesday. Where be your brain? Let me do some housekeeping and see where we are in the universe. We seem to be having internet fun today. Let's see. Where be your brain happening now? Ah, there we are. I'm live. Yay, way cool. All right, Glenn, greetings, sir. Good morning. How you doing today? Let's see, another little bit of housekeeping that I need to do is look something up. All right. That's not that. All right. So I want to start with what I just looked up, if I can figure it out. And it's not helping me out. Good enough on Wikipedia is all over the place. There's no solid definition. So I'm going to give up on that. So what's good about, all about, good about? And I was thinking about this because as human beings, we allow some things to be good enough and we allow some things to not be good enough. So let's start with the things that we say, okay, this is good enough, yada, yada, yada. And I was thinking about this. We go to our personal service people. Could be the barber, hairdresser, nails, whatever, housekeeper, gardener, all kinds of things that we do on a regular basis. And every once in a while, they do something that, that wasn't quite good enough, but you like them so much, you let them slide. Good enough. So where do we go from there? Well, I was thinking the next phase up is, let's say we have little ones who feel like making breakfast or a meal or something, and you walk in the kitchen and it's a disaster. And whatever they've made to eat, you eat it with a smile. And you tell them it's great, even though it's not. But that's still good enough, right? Because they're learning. We're all learning. We're all in business, or a lot of us are in business. So I think about things where maybe somebody we know does their first video. And you're scratching your head going, well, they did it. And you tell them that was awesome because it's a start. And the real bottom line to that is, hi, Connie, is that when you're doing a video, the first one, it is good enough because it's the first one. Babies learn to do a baby push-up, baby crawl, flip over, all the things that they do in the course of their growth. And nobody said, well, that's not good enough, right? It's all good enough. So somehow, some way, some reason, behind our eyeballs and between our ears, I like doing video because I can do a visual on that. We have this thing all too often where we are not good enough in some way or another. And an awareness, I think, is the first step down the path of realization that good enough is just good enough. Today I'm good enough. I go to the gym. Now, there's a whole lot of difference in the way I look at my trips to the gym now than I did back when I was younger. I was going to say back in the 80s, but you get the gist, right? Because then I would go to the gym and I would do everything on the list of things to do for that day. And quite often, it became shower time and it's like, okay, I got arms here. I know I got arms here, but I can't get my hand up to touch my face, right? I don't do that anymore, right? I go and I do what feels good and maybe pushes me a little bit, but at this point, at this time, I am not willing to take a chance on overdoing something that puts me out of commission. You know, I'll tell a story about that. A couple years ago now, we went to this event, I will call it, where part of the activity was a casual 5-mile walk around a particular lake, which was very flat. Okay. Now you think, okay, 5-mile walk, no big deal. You'd think. However, about halfway around, I realized shouldn't have done it, shouldn't have started, because I was reaching my then limit. And the upshot of it was 2 weeks later, I wound up having a spontaneous fracture in one of my feet because I overdid it. One of the fun of being me. But so where does good enough come into that? Well, I could have maybe gotten a bicycle. I could have maybe gotten some other thing to do or not done it at all, right? We need to understand sometimes that we have limitations, that good enough has to be within the parameter of our limitations, that we have permission from ourselves, right? I mean, stop when you come upon something where you have this, that's not good enough, I'm not good enough, whatever not good enough happens, ask yourself, okay, is it really real? Who said it wasn't? And is it true? Right? Because sometimes, and I find this in myself, sometimes I do things and I think that's not very good. And I realize that it's an early attempt. It's the beginning of the process. I have not fully engaged in whatever it is enough to be really good at it. Sometimes I learn how to do things so that I may direct someone else to do it, right? Because it's really tough in my mind to say to someone, here's what I want you to do, without me knowing what I'm telling them how to do. Whether or not they're an expert at it, I need to have some fundamental knowledge. In a lot of cases, it's a different thing. If I was going to take the car into the shop to get repaired, I don't know, right? We drive cars now that are smarter than the computers that I first worked on, right? I mean, the car that I have now, I plug my phone into the car and Android Auto jumps up and connects the display to the phone and does stuff. I don't know. It works. That's all that I care about. It does the things that I like to do. That means that I can tap on a microphone button and say, tell it where I want to go, and it looks it up on Google and finds it and shows me how to get there. Cool. Good enough. Good enough has to be good enough. And that really is kind of where the end game shows up. I do this every week. Am I perfect? No. Am I good enough? I think so. And the feedback is people keep showing up. People keep asking. People keep wanting more. People like what I do. So, good enough. Actually, hearts. Way cool. Thanks. Actually, I'm going to do this because I forgot to do that. Do this here. Do this here. And Stick that there. I'm still learning Facebook. So